The Flintstones is one of the classic animated sitcoms. Before the days of The Simpsons and Family Guy, we were watching a prehistoric world that lends itself to a modern and civilized society. The show etched itself into pop culture and became the longest running TV show at the time, with 6 seasons until The Simpsons beat it. It was also the first animated show to hold a primetime slot on television. Its popularity allowed for a live-action film version in 1994, starring John Goodman as Fred Flintstone and Rick Moranis as Barney Rubble. The idea is that the vice president Cliff Vandercave of Slate & Company, which Fred Flintstone works for, wants to run off with the company's money and frame one of the employees. Already this sounds like a bad idea. Not the bad guy's plan within the movie, but the story itself. Why does the Flintstones need a villain? There wasn't one in the show. Anyway, in order for the plan to work, Vandercave holds an aptitude test to see who will be the new vice president. Barney gets all the right answers, but secretly swaps tests with Fred, as he would have failed otherwise. This means Fred, despite being less sophisticated, becomes the new vice president and is being manipulated into allowing Vandercave to get away with embezzling the fortune. Okay, you can pretty much tell what else is going to happen in this movie. It's so predictable, yet when it gets to the point where Barney reveals that he swapped the tests, I'm in disbelief. They make it seem like it was all Fred's fault for laying off all the workers. Well, he was an idiot for not reading what the contract says before signing it. But literally none of this would have happened if Barney didn't feel sorry for Fred on the aptitude test. So, if anything, it's on Barney. You're not fooling me, movie, but nice try though. Besides, you really think kids would comprehend all that's going on in this movie? This plot seems like it would be more for adults. I will admit though, John Goodman is a fitting casting choice for Fred. Same with Rick Moranis as Barney. They got big names, sure, but they also fit the characters they were cast to play. They're not bad, but if you want to see a better movie with Rick Moranis, I'd choose Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, or Spaceballs. Those movies were much more funny and clever. With John Goodman, I'd say something more like The Emperor's New Groove or Monsters, Inc. But what am I talking about? The actors and set design represent the cartoons fairly well, despite the story being less than stellar. Where the actors are fine, the visual effects in Dino are... To be fair, this film came out in the mid-90s. This was the year following Jurassic Park and not on the same budget. What really bothers me about the visuals is the cartoon physics. This stuff with the characters flying through the air the way they do works fine in a cartoon, but in live action, it doesn't look as great. If you remember me reviewing Popeye, you noticed I didn't have that much of a problem with it, but that was one of the first cartoons they were adapting to live action. They haven't got it quite perfected. That film came out in 1980, whereas this film came out in 94. I'm shocked that they still haven't figured out that cartoon physics like this doesn't work in a live action film. In fact, I have the same problem with Roger Gosnell's Scooby-Doo, but enough on that. Let's also mention all the product placement. Oh brother. If you know the cartoon, you'd understand that it's all about satire. But there's a difference between satire and just straight up making puns, and with the latter, it doesn't matter whether or not you're using product placement. This film's not just making fun of any restaurant or any regular part of modern living. One of its restaurants is called Rockdonald's. Get it? I wonder who their mascot is. Rockald Rockdonald? One of the playgrounds is called Jurassic Park, not to be confused with the film of the same name, and a better film at that. Honestly, I'm not surprised since this is a Universal film. Universal. Really getting carried away with these puns, aren't they? The BC-52s? They actually got the B-52s into this? And they did a cover on the Flintstones theme song. And possibly the thing to top it all off, one of the characters, the vice president's secretary, is called Sharon Stone. Gee, does that name sound familiar? It's almost like the character Max Schreck in Batman Returns, but more painful. And here, it makes less sense because she's not even played by Sharon Stone. Though with Max Schreck, it's okay, because the real Max Schreck, famous for playing Nosferatu, had been dead for more than half a century at that point. Gee, I've never referred to so many movies in a review before. That probably goes to show how much the film references other things. This is not an entertaining film, far less than that. I mean, it's not terrible, it doesn't come close to ranking as one of the worst films based on a cartoon. It does recognize its audience, and it distracts them with its style and characters, though not for long. It's laughable how poorly done the decisions were. That doesn't make it a so bad it's good experience, it just makes it a bad experience. A bad film, but at least it's not what films based on cartoons are now.